Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Grumman Pilot's YouTube channel. And this morning we're taking Hangar Flying Episode 2. The Tiger Project continues. Stay tuned. So we would like to ask you please subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notify to stay current with our content. So we're going to go back and we're unloading the Tiger now in front of T11 at Butler County, Hogan Field. And as you can see here, we've got 4 people involved in the process. The guy on the tail is making sure it doesn't hit anything. We have a person on each of the main wheels, and this allows us to put a lot of mechanical pressure on the airplane to slow it rolling back. You can also load an aircraft this way, and then the person on the front is not really supplying any motive force or braking. He's just steering the airplane. He and the guy in the back are doing the steering, and the guys on the wheels are doing a lot of the motive force of rolling it down. Again, you can also do this rolling the airplane up. So it's a little something to keep in your back pocket should you ever have to move your airplane. And then once it's safely on the ground, then you can begin the process of putting it in the hangar. We also walked into cradles, the wings, and the tail section. And then this way it's all safely secured. And now we're going to get into the process of going through and surveying all the pieces. So stay tuned for a little bit more fun from us. So as part of the process of doing the survey on the aircraft to see what all we need to do to it, it found its way being towed down to Hangar T6, our normal shop, and there we began opening it up, looking at the engine hard. We pulled the nose strut out. It's all going to be serviced, but we're looking at the condition of the airplane and why we've got it all uncowed like this and in the normal shop with all our tools available. We began looking at all the accessories on the aircraft. It's nice that it has a Tannis heater, but we're looking at the fact, when was the carburetor overhauled? What are the condition of the tires and the main fairings and all the bearings? What is the condition of the engine, the baffle seals? We know those have to go. And we know that all the hoses have to be replaced. Those hoses on the airplane are all brand new. They've never had any fluid run through them. Well, 6 minutes worth, but they're 15 years old and they're out of date. And of course the nose strut was completely redone and now it's drying today, having been repainted. But we looked at all the accessories, the oil cooler, the vacuum pump, the condition of the firewall, the condition of the nose fork and the bearings up in the front. We're looking at this airplane hard because whatever we find, we're going to have to fix. And as part of that process of looking at the main bearings, we're going to be replacing the fairings. We're going to be repacking all the bearings and checking everything. All the mains will be stripped and repainted. But the accessories on the aircraft are going to be coming off. We are going to be adding a Surefly magneto, but as part of the process now is that we've taken all the plastic off the airplane, and as you can see here, it was pretty dirty. But then it's all been washed, and it's down in the other hangar drying. We have a picture of that coming up in just a moment. But as part of the survey process, we looked at the tie-down rings were really rusty, so we contacted Bob and Barb at Fresh Arrow, and guess what? We ordered some new stainless steel tie-down rings. We're looking at the vacuum pump. Which one do we have, and what was the date of the overhaul? Again, all the accessories on the engine are being examined. But in the cabin, we also noticed that the Blue Sky visors, well, we didn't have them. The original stock one was broken, so we called Blue Sky and talked to Vern Schultz, and guess what? We have Blue Sky visors coming for the airplane. We checked the motor mount. We checked the oil cooler. All the accessories on the aircraft, when this engine goes back into running condition, is all going to be new. Now, this week, we are going to be pulling the cylinder off of it because we need to check that. By the way, we have asked Dan Bailey, who originally made the original peg files for the step-up pegs, to send us some plugs for the new airplane in white. And here are all the parts that have been cleaned and washed. They've all been meticulously examined to make sure they don't have any crack, wears, or abrasions in them. And again, we're going to be redoing all the baffle seal on the engine, and we were very happy with the way the nose strut did come out. It does need a little light cleaning, but we are going to take care of all of that and put it back in with new hardware. Happy to say that the close tolerance bolts and both shock absorbers are in very good shape. Now the scat tubing's all going to be replaced because it's pretty well worn. But that brings us up to date where we are today. On Saturday, we have ordered a new glass for the aircraft, and that's all coming, and it will be installed. But that's where we are right now in week 2, and we'll have more information for you later on today. So thanks for watching. So be sure to visit the Blue Sky Visors website. They always have good deals, and Vern's a nice guy to deal with. And we also contacted Barb and Bob at Fresh Arrow for tie-down rings.
We're looking at the front fairing, which we're going to replace because this one is pretty chewed up. But you look at the front seal. Somebody took a nice piece of sealing material and cut a big X in it, instead of just using one of those. And then we also found some gouging in the front fork where it turns. Even though the fork is still serviceable, we're going to go with the overhauled one we have in a bag with a new O-ring. The nose boot, lower cowling, has all been painted and touched up and clean. Looks really nice. And stand by as we roll right over here. We're going to be going with new close tolerance bolts and all new hardware in the front fairing, including the step-up pegs. So that takes care of the front fork.
Here's the one that came off.
Oh, and there's the one that came off the airplane. Yeah, serviceable, yes, but we're going to go with the nice new one. And now let's go a little closer and look at the airplanes on the airplane. Well, here's a starter. It's a lightweight starter. It was brand new in 2010 when it was put on. We're going to be checking it. Other accessory, oil cooler we've discussed. We have the carburetor. We have the fuel pump. We have left and right magneto. The left magneto is going to go bye-bye because it's going to become a sure fly. Vacuum pump is probably going to be going away because we're going to go with an all-glass panel. All the scat tubing, which was new 12 years ago, we're going to replace. It's not that much scat tubing, and why take a chance on it? Everything else looks nice. The Tannis heater plug right here by the aux plug. And, oh yeah, the big thing is that this airplane comes with a nice Macaulay prop, which we are going to be, we've already ordered our Cincinnati propeller, so we're going to be putting a Cincinnati on this nice new 0.1 hour, 6-minute engine. Oh, and let's not forget the alternator. So I think that takes care of all the engine accessories that we need to discuss.
Don't forget the Tannis heater.
I already called that out.
Oh, good for you.
By the way, if somebody's looking for some bargain hoses, I've got some slightly expired hoses, brand new, still flexible, with only 6 minutes of use time on them. I'm sure somebody out there in Grumman land is going to want them. Give me a call.
And here's a picture of the carburetor that's on the aircraft, and wouldn't you know that that serial number is right smack in the middle of the serial numbers covered by an AD? I'm sorry, by a service bulletin. So this carb is going to be going to D&G to be fixed.
So here are some of the parts. As you can see, all the black plastic has been taken out of the aircraft. It's all been shined with Meguiar's Ultimate Black. And now we're looking at all the things we're going to be replacing, like the cowl linch pins and our little cowl bumpers, step pegs, more cowl linch pins, new air vents, new front seal, new landing light cover, baffle seal kit, rudder springs, and the old fun 95 AD, the shoulder bolts. But as you can see, we have all those bits and pieces, but we have all the plastic and all the control surfaces and cowlings have all been cleaned. Upper cowling looks pretty nice. We'll be touching up a few chips in the paint. Already has a split nose bowl, and we are just in the process of starting to go through the paperwork at home as we go through all the stuff to start making a binder on this aircraft. So as you can see, the flaps and the ailerons, some of which need to have a little bit of turn to them. But all in all, not bad for an airplane we found that's been sitting for 15 years. And now, of course, we're going to go through everything, because we don't want to take the chance on selling an airplane that hasn't been gone through. And even with all of this, it's still going to be our recommendation that this airplane be pre-purchased by an independent person, not us. So that's where we are today, Sunday, Mother's Day. I hope all of y'all are having a good Mother's Day, and we will talk to you later.
Saw this before we went to the airport the other day. The clock is just going round and round and round as it resyncs with 10 o'clock at night. So we thought you'd be amused by that, because it really is true. Time does fly when you're having fun. So as the time winds down, I'm going to kill this section of the video. But again, thanks for watching, each and every one. This is the camera Wi-Fi F system that we use. It comes with a little mini iPad, and it comes with a wanded scope so that you can stick it into the cylinders or any other place you have access to the internals of the engine. And you can take both stills and video. And as a matter of fact, there are some stills coming up right now from the cylinder. So here's some pictures from inside the cylinder. This is cylinder number 3, looking at both of the valves, spark plug hole, and a side of the valve. And then here you see the cross hatching that's still in the cylinder of number 3. And here's the side of the valve. We actually rotated the prop to open it up so you can take a look at it. Now, in cylinder number 1, we see the same thing. We see the top of the piston. We see the nice good cross hatching. And finally, we see both of the valves looking in very good shape. Again, this engine ran for a total of 0.1 hours. Cylinder number 4, pretty much the same thing. We looked at the piston top. We looked around for the crosshatch scoring. We made sure that we had a good picture of the valves, and we looked at all 4 cylinders doing this. And as we finally get to the last cylinder, here are the valves. So that's what it looks like to look inside of an engine. Again, this is the Camera FI. You can also buy them that they will fit to your phone, and you just put the app on your phone, but we like their little spare iPad because we just keep it in the shop. Now, looking in through the spark plug hole, we didn't find anything in the cylinders that was unacceptable, not with 6 minutes of runtime. But we are going to pull at least 2 of the cylinders off. We're going to check the cam, and we're going to check the lobes. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to pull a mag, and we're going to look in the accessory case to see what's going on back there. A thorough look. And if need be, this engine will come out and go to Lycon with 0.1 hours on it for an overhaul. By the way, in the 6 minutes this engine was run, right after it had been ran, the oil was drained out of it. Now that keeps the oxidation and other chemicals out of the oil to corrode the engine on the inside. Well, it's Monday, May 10th, and we're continuing the saga of what we're doing this week in episode 2. But today, the Blue Sky visors arrived in the mail, and they're on their way to the airport. During the evening last night, Matt actually took the aux power port and the Tannis plug and cleaned it and shined it up really nice. It looks pretty good. We had also noticed that on the muffler system, we were missing the end cap for the cabin heat and for the heat muff. So therefore, we went and looked in our parts bins and we pulled out a new one and we installed it. We still have one bracket to remake in stainless steel for that top right-hand corner, but that work is underway. And then we came up with a close-up picture of the nose fork. The gouging in the front fork is very subtle from not having the proper stack on there, and we just replaced it with a new one. We're not going to take a chance and give a gouged fork to a customer eventually someday. Even though that one is serviceable, it'll be desired because it'll be the last one left. Now, these are the step pegs that we have. They were in black plastic made by the 3D printer. We wanted them in white, so we cleaned them with acetone, and there's 2 coats of white sim plastic paint on the plugs, both bottom and side, and those will be going on the Tiger step pegs for this aircraft. We had asked Dan Baisley to make us some, and I'm sure he will make us some and send them to us. And then we moved on to the fun job of taking all the baffling off the engine. We're doing that one because we have to replace all the baffle seals, and as you can see in the box, that orange material is really not appropriate for getting a good seal with it. So anyway, we're going to be changing all of that, and then we're also going to be having the engine opened up so that we can go ahead and pull 2 cylinders. We can check the cam and the lobe and the tappet bodies, and we're also going to go ahead and remove a mag on the back and look in the accessory case, see if any corrosion or rust we can find on the gears back there. And then finally, we're at the process where we're redoing the front strut. It's been painted again with the second coat. It's drying in the hangar, and again, it will be reassembled with all new hardware. And then finally, as part of getting ready for the Cincinnati propeller that's coming, we looked at the forward and rear spinner bulk plates, and both of them are punched out or cracked. In our case, they're not serviceable or reusable, so we've ordered new ones from Fletch Air. So that's where we stand today, Monday, May 10th. Stay tuned.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be looking at some aircraft records this morning. And looking at the bag that this came in, this is from the Raritan Valley Air, Cupper Airport, P.O. Box something, Mansville, New Jersey, and a phone number. And their slogan is, "Fly from the heart of New Jersey." So this is for the Project Tiger, and we're going to pull everything that we have in this envelope out. We find a stack of papers, and as we would expect, find some logbooks. We have a airframe logbook, another airframe logbook, number 1, and we have an engine logbook. We have no propeller logbook, not worried because we've got a new Sense propeller coming. That takes care of that logbook. But logbooks are one thing, and we're going to put those back in the pouch because we're not really worried about them at this point. What we're going to do is take a look at the information that the owners kept in their bag of tricks. So there's a yellow folder, a pink folder, engine installation guide from the new Lycoming engine. That will be very nice to have for the new owner. There's also a CD-ROM of how to break in your airplane.
And with the new engine, you get a CD from Aeroshell Textone Lycoming. It has 3 movies on it. 1 is installation, 2 is startup and break-in, and 3 is maintenance and normal operations. And again, it's a CD-ROM hosted by John Nicholson that comes with your brand new engine. Not a bad deal.
So we have a work order. This is for the IFR check back in 2015. Good for history, but nothing that we need now. And this is the FAA registration, where it is being owned by, and by the way, it's from who we bought it from. Okay, so we have that information to save. But now we get to the fun stuff. And what we're looking for is we want to break this information down into a couple of places. Like we want to have all the STC information. We want to have the 337s. We want to have the weight and balance, the annual inspections checklist, other items that'll be in the folder. Now here is a squawk list. Oh, it's numbered too. Here are 65 squawks from the annual that was done in 2010. So we'll be checking all these squawks, so that they're squawked. They probably weren't fixed, and we'll go ahead and take care of that as part of the annual that we're doing on the airplane. So that was what was in this folder. Then we have some more information from the FAA, some bills from avionics shops, good for history, another squawk list, a parts list to be ordered, a parts list put on the airplane, another squawk list, a work request form, a master copy of an annual inspection, which is good because we like to have those. By the way, this one is checked off. So that again goes in the annual inspection section. Some carburetor information, some 8130s, a note from the owner to the guy that helped us find this airplane. So that takes care of the pink folder. Now let's look in the yellow folder. This is the one I'm suspecting that's going to be filled with all the gold bricks. Yeah, so here we have an AD compliance, airframe, that whole set. An STC that was applied to the airplane that needs to be taken apart. Here's more stuff on the engine from Lycoming, more 337s. So here's a work bill. So we will be breaking all this information down. Oh, and here's a copy of the airworthiness certificate. Always nice to have in your records in case you lose the one in your airplane. It's available on the CD-ROM. And another annual inspection report. This one has been filled out, and from the date 9/7 of 2010, it goes with that 65 item squawk list. So that's what's in the yellow folder. So we are going to be taking all of this and putting it with.
So these are the tab sheets that we're going to be putting to organize the records. We're going to have a weight and balance report as well as an equipment list. We're going to have service information and copies of pertinent information, and there's the list for you to read. We're going to have an aircraft inspection record along with any special instructions for the inspection, such as instructions for continued airworthiness. We have the Form 337s for the STCs. We have the ADs, which is always nice to have in any aircraft, and that contains up our list. And then we close out this talking about all this paperwork. Here's the cover page that we make for every aircraft. So it gives you your certification date. It's just a cover page. It doesn't really mean anything. But while I was getting this ready for the video, I had to speak to another shop, and they're in the middle of bore scoping an engine right now. So they're kind of busy, being perverts and looking where you normally aren't supposed to look. But I told them to get back to work and go back to being boring, and I'll talk to them later. So that's our story on the paperwork that we're going to be dividing up for this aircraft. And as always, stay tuned for some more fun with us.
Sheet protectors, stand by. We'll be working with standard sheet protectors. These go in the 3-ring binder. So we'll be doing all of that and starting to organize all this information. No need to bother you with it on video, but here we are on Tuesday. It's early in the morning. We're outside on the porch. You can hear the birds, and we are starting to address all the records as we begin to address the airplane, because having your paperwork in order is just as important to the FAA as having your aircraft mechanically sound. Someone even remarked that, I think it was Martha Lunkin, who said that until the paperwork on your airplane exceeds the weight of the aircraft, you'll never be legal to fly. So we hope you found all this useful and informative.
Just so you know, I'm being watched when I'm out here. I'm not out here on the back porch all by myself. It's just me and the cat having fun while Matt's at the shop doing some other stuff. But we're putting these comments and we're breaking our days apart into about 5-minute sections for you as we put this episode together. Again, we've never done a series before, so kind of let us know in the comments what you think of the series and any suggestions that we might be able to use to make it better for your enjoyment. Please let us know. Thank you. And just a couple of quick looks at some websites that we like to use. But today I'm doing paperwork, as we've seen, and Matt's out having fun at the hangar. He's drilling out all the baffling, getting the baffle seals off. We're going to be putting a new set on there, but also we're going to be looking at the baffles and seeing if they need to be repaired. So more on that later. Well, we've made our first pass. We've got everything important in sheet protectors, and we've got it in the 3-ring binder. Now, they're not organized. We haven't printed up the tab sheets yet, but we've just, working our way on it. It's not a fun job. Like I said, Matt gets to be the fun guy out at the airport working on the baffling, but here we are, and just wanted to bring you up to date on this, and we'll show you more as we work on this. It's going to be an ongoing process, but here's where we are Tuesday on the paperwork thus far. So have fun. So I'm not losing my grip on reality. I'm showing you the pictures of the front strut being painted again because we had to restrip it and repaint it. We didn't like the first paint job. And the bead blast cabinet that we normally use that belongs to the Hogan family, well, it's in the new hangar, but it has not been installed yet. So we had to go out and buy one of our own. So here's a picture right out of their catalog of the 40-pound capacity cabinet we bought. It uses a wide variety of media. We can use plastic bead, we can use glass bead, which is what we've been using. We can also use walnut if we want, but we have a bunch of glass bead. And so now that we have this cabinet that's going to be up and running, well, guess what? We have to bead blast all of the baffle seals. Matt's been busily working, putting all the repairs in, getting all the rivets in place, making the pieces that we need to, and grabbing some old ones from stock. But here they are, all stripped down. They're ready to be bead blasted, and at that point they'll be acid etched, allodyne primed, and then painted. So the new bead blasting cabinet is all put together, and here it is in operation. So we'll add a little music to this and let you enjoy a little zen moment to yourself. So here's what it looks like with 7 pieces back on the engine for comparison. So we had a lot of fun with this. Hope you did too. See you tomorrow.
This is really, really good. I'm feeling really good about this. Yeah, very good. All right. Ready, kids? Here we go.
The first part of the clip was just getting me ready to go, but here I am walking and I'm doing a voiceover for you. But it's a delicate dance that we do between the lady in front to making sure I don't come too far forward and the lady in back to make sure I don't fall over backwards like a tree, because that exoskeleton is fairly rigid. We're learning to do this very subtle dance together until eventually I'll have enough control I'll be able to do it by myself. So here's the new bead blast cabinet in the old shop being run by an old compressor, and it did a pretty good job. Matt said it took about 4 hours to put the 500 screws that all go in and put it all together with the hardware, but it's all done. And then of course today he has bead blasted all of the baffling from the Project Tiger. So now it's going to go in and get washed in soap and water, then it's going to get alodined, then it's going to get acid etched and then alodined, and then it will move on from there. And then finally, after painting the front strut and then having to strip it and repaint it again, it's finally installed in the airplane so we can move on from that. So that's what's been keeping Matt busy at the airport today. Meanwhile, I've been working on the parts order going to a couple who are GPA members. They are serving in the Coast Guard. He is retired. She is serving in the Coast Guard in Puerto Rico. So nice to help them out with their problems. And so that's what we've been doing today on Wednesday, May 12th. Stand by if we get some more video and pictures. Now, the other thing that's been occupying me most of the day has been going through the aircraft records. We have the CD-ROM from the FAA, and we also now have all the paper records. So we have to verify that every STC that the FAA knows about is indeed in the paperwork for the airplane. If not, that's an easy enough fix because you just print out of that copy and put it into the records. The problem becomes when you have things that are signed off by an IA from a shop years ago that the FAA doesn't know about, which means nobody mailed in the paperwork. That's a harder problem to solve. It's about as hard to solve as when you find a repair on the aircraft that's not in the records. But again, it's just a 337 and some paperwork to make it all right and sort of kind of bless it to make sure that it's not an illegal repair and that it was just an omission of something with the paperwork. So we are fixing it all up, and we will let you know more about that as it happens. Now, briefly, the way that you fix problems like this is with a 337. It's for major repairs and alterations. So what you'll have is a 337 says repair found, adheres to manual standards, and you file it with the FAA. So now you have a record of that with the aircraft. So it's not an insurmountable problem, and it can be done. So stand by for the next part. So much for finding a repair that needs to be filed, but here we are looking at the spar on the new Tiger project. We're looking at the front and the back of both sides to make sure that there's no problems with the spar and to document where we are. And it looks pretty shiny and everything looks well marked. We don't see any corrosion, but we will be cleaning it and re-oiling it, knocking off some of the surface flake corrosion that you see there that's just starting. It's a light dust. It's an ash. We will knock it off. So that takes care of the spar. But now that the spar's been done, Matt has bead blasted, as you saw, all of the baffle pieces, and now they're all with 2 coats of primer. Now this was acid etching primer. This is different from acid etch and then allodyne, prime, and paint. This is an acid etched primer, which allows you to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So you get to do 1 step, and it covers what you need in terms of acid etching and primer, all in the primer step. Well, here it is. It's a little after midnight, so it's now officially Thursday morning. And I was thinking about some of the maintenance records written in the logbook of the Tiger over the while. So I'm out on the back porch when you can imagine my surprise when I realized that here it is in late May or middle May, and we are already in mating season for the owls. Listen to this. Enjoy. So on Thursday with the Project Tiger, we took the left main landing gear and we pulled the wheel off and we started looking at what kind of shape is the casting in. Are we going to have to get casting off the landing gear and we're going to have to bead blast it and treat all the aluminum? But after cleaning it, we found out that previously somebody had already done all of that and had painted it silver. So now the left gear can go back together. We're going to verify the condition of the right side of the main. So that's constituting what's been keeping us busy at the airport this morning with the landing gear on the Project Tiger. Now the other thing is the main brackets for the landing gears were taken off for the fairings, and this one was bead blasted, acid etched, primed, and all put back together. We've cleaned up all the hardware and putting new, brake pads on it and cleaning up the flex bolts, and the one that was a little stiff we've replaced. So that's what we're accomplishing this morning on Thursday, May 13th. But we'll have some more work for you in the afternoon, so stay tuned. Now on the wheel assembly, the tire and all, we took it apart, bead blasted it, primed it, painted it, and now here it is all back together and ready to go back on the airplane. And of course, while it was off, all the bearings were cleaned and repacked, as well as all the rings and everything, and were checked. Any that were bad we would have replaced, but here it is ready to go back on the airplane. So this constitutes the left side assembly, and now we'll go back and start work on the right side of the landing gear. So before I forget about it, how do you like the look of the tires? Now these are Condors. No weather checking, nothing in the treads, nice looking tires, but they are 6-ply, and that's what you want for a Tiger. You can get away with 4-ply on the Traveler, but this one we're doing 6. By the way, for those of you who might be interested, on the 6-cylinder Tiger, we run 8-ply tires. So I went to physical therapy this morning and I walked quite a bit, but then when I got home, I have been working with the paperwork on the airplane all morning. It's really not in all that bad shape, but I'm just making sure that what the FAA says we're supposed to have is what's in the aircraft records and vice versa. So stay tuned and we'll have some more work for you this afternoon. So here's what the tire looks back on the airplane with the spindle all in place and the adapter for the fairing. All new hardware. Looks pretty, but that's complicated to say, but anyway, so now we've got the all back together, the bracket and all in place, but I want to call your attention to the brake line, and we have a message about that.
Here are the new brake line hoses that we'll be using on the Project Tiger. They replace the hard aluminum line brake lines that go from the wing root area, come out of the fuselage and run all the way down the gear leg underneath the rubber and connect to the caliper. We're changing these out to the ones like Ken Blackman used to use and others. These are braided steel, and they are, again, a lifetime hose, but then again, they are fairly expensive. They are $125 a hose, and so for an airplane, here's $250. But the nice thing is that when you work on your brakes, you don't have to worry about stressing the aluminum in the caliper. We're also going to be putting new gear leg wraps on the Project Tiger. They haven't come in yet from Fletcher, but when they do, we'll put this underneath that, and we're making this airplane just as pretty as you can imagine. So again, that was Hopscotch playing with the end right there. We hope you found all this useful and informative on the project update. We'll be putting together a parts list and a price list somewhere down the road, hopefully before the end of this episode too. But this is on Thursday afternoon, and I just went and got the mail, and this is what's going on with Project Tiger. So stay tuned.
And before I forget, a quick reminder that this Saturday at Butler County Hogan Field, right outside of Cincinnati at KHAO, we're having an airplane wash. So bring your dirty airplane, enjoy some food and some social time with some other Grumman pilots, and we'll show you the new hangar and everything going on, including the Project Tiger. Hope to see you then, but I just wanted this quick reminder before I forgot. And here's what the tire starts looking like on the co-pilot side. This is a before picture. So here's what we're starting with, and then from here we're going to go ahead and clean everything and put the new tire and everything on. So this is the co-pilot side before, and that's what the main gear bracket looks like on the back. And we're going to, again, bead blast it and repaint it, and I'll put it back on the airplane so it'll look just like the left side, but just keeping the loop of where we are right now. Guess what came by UPS today? We got our new polo shirts in from Port Authority, and they look pretty nice. This is the brilliant blue with white lettering, and we're going to have these available at the plane wash. We're also thinking about having a sale on the water bottles. But anyway, it's been an eventful Thursday, and we still haven't done with all the pictures and the video processing yet, so stay tuned. Well, the new brake lines are already been taken to the hangar, and here they are. We're in the process of taking all the old fluid out of the line so that when we change the brake line, we don't make a big mess. And we're going to have to probably drain the reservoirs up in the cockpit to put all new fluid in there. We don't like it sitting all that time. But anyway, we're just letting it drain down. Then we're going to reinstall the new hoses and both sides, and then we will pump the entire system back up. In essence, bleeding the brakes, as it's called if you're new to aviation. Well, the new stainless steel brake lines have been put on the aircraft, and here's a picture up in the wing root of the one that's routed to the fuselage side, and you'll notice that we have witness mark tape on it so that if it ever moves. And then here's the work going on down at the other end of the brake line where it goes into the caliper, and again we've put the witness mark on everything so that we'll know if anything works loose or breaks free. So stand by. And so now here's the video we finally downloaded. It's kind of hard transferring files this big between the hangar and home, but here's what the spar looks like on video, and we shot that. We're going to throw a little music in here, and we'll catch you right here at the end in a minute. And along with the video came some photos. As you can see here, we have painted one for one side of the aircraft, and we also found the other ones that were in the shop that we bead blasted in. And we acid etched primed, and now we've painted them all. So we're going to have a spare set of main brackets on the shelf. So if you come in and don't like the look of yours, we can work out a deal. So here it is, getting near the end of Thursday. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and as we're reusing some video here for the voiceover, but it's been a long week, and we've put about 8 or 9 minutes per day into this video thus far. Tomorrow will be Friday. We will wrap it up fairly early, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we will bring it home, add it to this collection, and episode 2 of Hangar Flying will be in the can, and we'll be pushing it out to YouTube for y'all for your Friday night. So this is just the end of Thursday. It's been a long, fun day, but like Matt and I both worked till after midnight last night. So again, we hope you're finding all this useful and informative. We will be adding price list and time list. So like when we're talking about redoing the mains, you'll know how long it was. So Again, folks, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and here it is, Friday. Now, we're not going to be working on the Project Tiger today because we have an airplane coming in for an annual and some other maintenance issues, and so that's what we're going to be doing today, Saturday, and Sunday. I'd like to also remind you that tomorrow, Saturday, we have the airplane wash. We'll be there from 9 to 3 to help you get your airplane clean. And then the final thing we wanted to bring to your attention was someone had made in the comments that they were curious about how much time we were spending on the Tiger. So for week 1 of the work that we did on this airplane last week, it was 78 man hours. So everything you see in episode 2 and in episode 1 is 78 hours of total time for those of you who are thinking about doing this to your airplane. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found all this useful and informative. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day flying your Grumman. And in addition, there's a little treat about 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing web work and other stuff. Here's my cat coming down, playing with a mouse and meowing and just having a good time with me in the wee hours of the night. So I thought I'd throw this into you as a little treat. Y'all please enjoy.